The escalating lawsuit between Tammy and Amy Slaton and the TLC network has become one of the most widely discussed and closely followed disputes in recent reality television history, with observers cautioning that this case is not merely about contract violations or financial disagreements but about power, narrative control, and the very essence of reality television itself, raising questions that cut deep into how the genre is produced, marketed, and consumed, and as court dates approach and the drama intensifies, the entertainment industry, the fanbase, and even other reality stars are watching with a mixture of fascination, dread, and expectation, recognizing that whatever the outcome, it will alter the course of 1,000-pound sisters and perhaps reshape the entire reality television landscape. When word of the lawsuit first spread, a mixture of amazement, rage, and sadness erupted on social media, with fans flooding TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube comment sections with messages of both outrage and solidarity, and almost instantly, hashtags like #SaveTheSlatons, #JusticeForTammy and Amy, and #TLCCandle began trending, demonstrating not only the sisters' cultural impact but also the degree of emotional investment viewers have placed in their journey and in the online discourse that followed. Two camps quickly emerged. One faction defending the sisters passionately and accusing TLC of exploiting their personal hardships for financial gain only to abandon them when the consequences became messy, and another arguing that the sisters may have pushed the boundaries too far by missing filming commitments, violating confidentiality agreements, and engaging in unpredictable conduct that ultimately forced the network to act, and these heated debates grew into one of the most polarized fan controversies reality television has seen, with viewers analyzing every leaked episode, production rumor, and alleged court filing to build their case for or against the Slatons. Yet beyond the swirl of fan arguments, the legal case carries profound implications for the show itself and for the network's future strategy, because production insiders confirm that if the legal dispute continues unresolved, TLC executives may seriously consider cancelling 1,000-pound sisters outright, and the thought of pulling the plug on one of the network's most popular and talked-about programs has shocked industry observers, who point out that a termination would not only devastate Tammy and Amy's careers but also impact hundreds of crew members, multiple sponsors, advertisers, and TLC's own brand identity, creating ripple effects throughout the industry. Analysts note that such a move would send a sobering message to both talent and networks that no star, regardless of fan following or personal struggles, is above contractual obligations and legal accountability, and that the blurry line between fame, responsibility, and network authority is being redrawn in a harsher light than ever before. Legal experts following the case warn that the courtroom proceedings may unearth details about behind-the-scenes activities that networks typically keep hidden from viewers, details that could reshape public understanding of how reality shows are made, if Tammy and Amy choose to countersue, or if discovery in the lawsuit makes internal communications public. The world may gain insight into how much pressure, exploitation, and manipulation occurred during filming, with producers potentially revealed to have coerced talent into unsafe situations, manipulated circumstances for maximum drama, or ignored health and safety concerns in pursuit of ratings. And if such revelations emerge, the ramifications will extend far beyond one show, forcing the entire reality TV sector to confront ethical dilemmas and operational norms that have long been kept from the audience's eye. In fact, some insiders speculate that this lawsuit could set off a chain reaction, emboldening other reality television stars to re-examine their contracts, seek legal advice, and even mount their own challenges against networks. And while Tammy and Amy may not have intended to spark a wider movement, they could inadvertently become figureheads for a broader revolution in how reality TV talent negotiates for pay, creative control, and protection from exploitation. For now, the sisters themselves have remained largely silent in public, avoiding direct commentary as the legal storm intensifies, but friends and relatives have spoken anonymously to the press, describing both women as scared, heartbroken, and overwhelmed. Amy, they say, is trying to maintain a sense of normalcy for her children while privately battling anxiety about the family's financial and professional future, and Tammy, though stronger in health than she has been in years, is coping with heightened stress and worry that her progress could be undone by the emotional toll of this lawsuit, and together, the two face the frightening possibility that both their personal lives and professional legacies, which have always been intertwined with the show, are at risk of unraveling. The stakes could not be higher, because the lawsuit touches on careers, finances, family stability, and the trust of millions of viewers who have invested in their story, and the uncertainty has left fans oscillating between hope for a resolution and dread of an irreversible collapse. Entertainment insiders have outlined 3 main scenarios, each more dramatic than the last, and while the outcome remains uncertain, examining these possibilities illustrates the gravity of what is at play. In the first scenario, TLC secures a decisive courtroom victory, forcing Tammy and Amy to repay millions in damages, relinquish control over their social media content, and sever ties permanently with the network, an outcome that would not only cause financial devastation but also erase the legacy of the £1,000 sisters by ending it abruptly without closure, leaving fans to process the cancellation of one of the most dramatic and poignant reality shows of recent memory. The second, more combustible possibility involves the sisters retaliating with a countersuit, using rumored production memos, behind-the-scenes footage, and corporate emails as evidence that TLC coerced them into unsafe behaviors, deliberately staged or manipulated situations, and potentially violated labor or safety regulations, a scenario that could trigger a public scandal exposing the network's inner workings and permanently altering industry ethics. And the third, a quieter but still seismic option, involves a highly publicized settlement, in which both sides agree to avoid a trial in exchange for financial concessions and strict non-disclosure terms, an arrangement that might shield TLC from embarrassment while sparing the sisters total financial ruin but potentially silencing them permanently, and forcing their exit from the show, leaving fans unsatisfied and raising fresh questions about transparency in the genre. Regardless of which path materializes, the litigation will leave permanent marks on Tammy and Amy's lives, because even beyond the financial risk, the emotional strain has been immense, with friends describing anxiety, restless nights, and constant fear about the future as daily realities. And in this sense, the court battle is not only a business dispute but also a psychological ordeal for a family whose existence has been lived under the constant gaze of cameras. The case also raises deeper questions about the long-term viability of reality television itself, because networks suing their own stars introduces a chilling dynamic that could erode trust between cast members and producers. If networks are willing to pursue aggressive legal action against the very individuals whose stories make them millions, then future participants may become more guarded, less willing to reveal intimate details, or more cautious about signing contracts without legal counsel, and the ripple effects could fundamentally alter how shows are produced, casting a shadow of litigation risk over every dramatic storyline and every emotional revelation. For viewers, too, the lawsuit strikes at the heart of their investment in reality television, because fans who have spent years following the Slaton sisters now find themselves questioning whether they were watching authentic struggles or manufactured drama, and whether their emotional support contributed to empowerment or exploitation, and as they flood online forums with speculation, theories, and heartfelt messages, they brace for either the abrupt end of a beloved show or a shocking comeback that could expose hidden truths about the network, and in either case, the relationship between viewers and reality television may never be the same again. What makes the situation even more poignant is the broader symbolism of the sisters' journey, from their early struggles with obesity and health scares to their attempts at personal transformation. The Slatons embodied themes of resilience, vulnerability, and authenticity that resonated with millions, and now, in a cruel twist, those same themes have been transplanted into a legal arena, where the sisters must fight not only for their livelihoods but for their legacies, and the drama, once confined to episodes aired on TLC, now plays out in legal filings, leaks, and speculative headlines that could determine their fate. With court dates approaching, insiders warn that the proceedings will be messy, unpredictable, and possibly explosive, with both sides possessing information the other would prefer remain hidden, and as curiosity intensifies, media outlets speculate daily on which revelations might surface, from behind-the-scenes manipulation to private negotiations gone sour, and what those revelations might mean for the credibility of reality TV. Some legal analysts argue that if internal TLC documents confirm patterns of coercion or manipulation, the case could trigger regulatory scrutiny or industry-wide reforms, while others caution that even if the sisters win moral vindication, the financial and emotional costs may be too great to recover from fully. Either way, the world is watching closely, recognizing that the lawsuit is not just a dispute between two stars and a network but a moment of reckoning for an entire genre of entertainment, And as the Slatons prepare for a courtroom battle that could redefine their lives, one thing is undeniable. The outcome will be studied, debated, and remembered for years, not only as the fate of a beloved reality show but as a turning point in how reality television navigates the fragile balance between authenticity, exploitation, fame, and power. The unfolding legal battle between Tammy and Amy Slaton and TLC has quickly escalated into one of the most polarizing and consequential disputes in the history of modern reality television, not only because of the immediate impact on the sisters' careers and personal lives but also because of the broader questions it raises about the ethics, power dynamics, and hidden machinery behind unscripted programming that has become a cultural phenomenon in the United States and abroad. And as analysts, fans, and industry insiders examine every twist in the case, the story becomes less about the details of leaked contracts or individual episodes of 1,000-Pound Sisters and more about how reality television itself functions as a business that thrives on personal exposure, emotional vulnerability, and an uneasy exchange between stars who give their lives to the cameras and corporations that monetize those lives, often at great human cost. And while some defenders of TLC argue that the network has every right to enforce contractual obligations, particularly if confidential material was leaked or filming was disrupted, others insist that the sisters, who have laid bare their health crises, family conflicts, and deeply personal struggles for public consumption, were effectively cornered into a system where saying no was never a real option and where production pressures often blurred the line between voluntary performance and coercion, which raises the question of whether the current lawsuit is not only about alleged breaches of contract but also about a network attempting to remind its entire roster of reality stars who holds the ultimate power, sending a chilling message across the industry that talent who push back may be punished severely, financially, and publicly, even if they have been the very faces that built the franchise's success. In the case of Amy Slaton, close friends describe her as particularly shaken by the lawsuit, not only because of the financial implications, millions of dollars in damages are reportedly being sought, but also because of the personal stress it adds to an already fragile period in her life, with sources noting that Amy has long struggled with maintaining stability for her children while managing the aftereffects of years in the spotlight, where her parenting choices, weight struggles, and relationships were dissected by fans and critics alike. And now she faces the possibility of losing not only her livelihood but also the one narrative framework, the show, that gave her a form of structured identity after years of being dismissed by society, a loss that could feel existential in ways that outsiders may underestimate, while Tammy, though perhaps more outwardly combative, is said to be privately devastated as well, particularly given her ongoing health issues and the reality that her battle for mobility, independence, and dignity has played out under intense public scrutiny, sometimes empowering her as an icon of resilience but often leaving her exposed to ridicule, judgment, and the crushing weight of expectations from an audience that paradoxically demands both authenticity and entertainment from people living with very real pain. The fan response, as seen on TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, and Twitter, reflects the degree to which the Slaton sisters' lives have become deeply entangled with viewers' own emotional landscapes, as hashtags such as #SaveTheSlatons and #JusticeForTammy trended alongside more skeptical or hostile takes, illustrating that for many fans, watching the show was never just casual entertainment but a ritual of empathy, judgment, hope, and projection, where audiences could both root for the sisters' progress and vent frustration when setbacks occurred, a dynamic that reveals how reality television functions not merely as spectacle but as a mirror for viewers' own insecurities, triumphs, and family dynamics, which helps explain why the current lawsuit has sparked such fervent debate. Fans are not only defending or condemning Tammy and Amy but also defending or condemning the part of themselves that has been invested in the Slaton journey for years. Industry experts, meanwhile, warn that the ramifications of the lawsuit extend far beyond the fate of one show, as a victory for TLC could embolden networks to pursue aggressive legal action against other stars who resist directives, leak information, or attempt to assert creative control, while a countersuit or public exposure of internal documents could crack open the carefully maintained facade of reality production, revealing the extent to which stars are pressured to reenact scenes, exaggerate conflicts, or even compromise their health for the sake of ratings, revelations that could ignite broader debates about labor protections, informed consent, and the ethical obligations of corporations profiting from vulnerable individuals, particularly those dealing with medical conditions, poverty, or trauma, which are often the very narratives reality TV thrives on. Already, whispers in Hollywood suggest that other reality stars are watching the Slaton case closely, with some reportedly contacting lawyers to review their contracts or seeking renegotiations that would give them more agency over how their stories are edited, distributed, and monetized, a trend that, if it gains momentum, could reshape the power balance in the genre in ways that mirror the shifts seen in the music industry when artists began challenging record labels for ownership of masters. Or in professional sports when players demanded free agency. And while it may be premature to call this the beginning of a revolution in reality TV, the possibility alone demonstrates how high the stakes are in what on the surface might look like just another celebrity network. Critics of TLC argue that the network is playing a dangerous game by pushing the lawsuit so aggressively, as it risks not only alienating fans but also damaging its own brand reputation as the home of emotionally resonant, if controversial, human stories, since viewers may begin to see the network less as a storyteller and more as a corporate enforcer willing to destroy the lives it helped elevate, and that reputational damage could be long-lasting, particularly in an era when streaming platforms and independent creators offer alternative spaces for talent to tell their stories directly to audiences without the same gatekeeping or contractual entanglements, though defenders of the network counter that allowing stars to break contracts without consequence would set a precedent that undermines the stability of the industry and could make production unmanageable, given that reality shows often involve hundreds of hours of filming, millions in production costs, and intricate coordination of crews, sponsors, and schedules, all of which rely on participants adhering to agreed-upon commitments. For the sisters themselves, however, the legal jargon and corporate calculations translate into a far more personal nightmare. Amy reportedly breaks down frequently over fears of losing her home and being unable to provide for her children, while Tammy struggles with both the physical toll of stress on her already fragile health and the psychological strain of watching years of progress and newfound independence hang in the balance, and though they remain largely silent publicly, sources suggest that behind closed doors, conversations oscillate between desperation, anger, and cautious hope, as family members urge them to fight for their dignity while advisors caution them about the risks of escalating against a powerful network with deep legal resources. Speculation about possible outcomes only intensifies the drama. In one scenario, TLC secures a decisive legal win, forcing the sisters to pay heavy damages, relinquish social media control, and accept permanent separation from the network, effectively ending their television careers and reducing their legacy to a cautionary tale, while in another scenario, the sisters countersue with evidence of coercion, manipulation, or unsafe production practices, turning the tables and exposing TLC to public outrage, regulatory scrutiny, and potential industry-wide reforms, an outcome that, though unlikely given the asymmetry of resources, could nevertheless redefine the ethics of reality TV production if even partially substantiated, and in a third, perhaps more pragmatic scenario, both sides quietly negotiate a settlement, allowing TLC to protect its image while the sisters salvage some financial stability, though such a deal would almost certainly involve gag orders, restrictions on future media appearances, and an ambiguous ending for fans who crave narrative closure. Beyond the immediate legal chess match, cultural critics point out that the lawsuit epitomizes the contradictions of reality television itself. The same medium that promises authenticity often manufactures drama. The same contracts that elevate ordinary people to fame also bind them into rigid systems of control, and the same audiences who claim to care about stars' well-being often demand the very content that jeopardizes it, a paradox that Tammy and Amy's saga makes impossible to ignore, particularly as fans wrestle with their own complicity in a cycle that rewards vulnerability with attention but punishes missteps with ridicule and abandonment. For all the speculation, one fact is indisputable. The lawsuit has already taken a severe emotional toll on the sisters, with insomnia, panic attacks, and family tensions reportedly escalating as court dates loom, and regardless of whether they emerge victorious, defeated, or somewhere in between, their lives will likely never return to the relative normalcy they once knew before cameras entered their Kentucky home, a reminder that the price of reality television is often measured not only in contracts and ratings but also in human suffering, resilience, and the irretrievable loss of privacy. The broader industry, too, cannot escape the shadow of this case, as executives, producers, and aspiring stars alike are forced to confront uncomfortable questions about what is acceptable in the pursuit of entertainment and profit, questions that may ultimately determine whether the genre evolves into a more accountable, transparent form of storytelling or doubles down on the exploitative practices that have fueled its most dramatic successes. And as the world waits for the next court filing, the next leak, or the next public statement, it becomes increasingly clear that this is not just the story of two sisters from Kentucky but a referendum on reality television itself, its power, its perils, and its uncertain future. Would she survive the hospital stay? Would she be eligible for surgery? Would she make it to another episode? Viewers watched in horror but fascination as they watched a woman who seemed on the verge of catastrophe. That storyline, the inspirational underdog who refused to die, belongs to Tammy, not TLC, which is why the timing of her rumored new career move feels so perfect. She is no longer a cautionary tale, but a success story, and she knows she can sell that story herself without TLC twisting it into melodrama. However, the disaster storyline is gone now. Tammy defied the odds, lost weight, gained independence, and shocked the world by proving everyone wrong. Imagine Tammy starting her own YouTube channel and vlogging every day about her life after losing weight, her health advice, and her personal reflections. Millions of people would watch. Imagine Tammy starting a fitness clothing line for plus-size women who want comfort and style while working toward better health. She would instantly gain credibility because she has been there herself. Or imagine Tammy traveling the nation as a public speaker, inspiring others by sharing her story, not as a TLC character, but as a real person who overcame the possible. More startling, what if Tammy signed a contract with Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime for a solo documentary? An unvarnished, unadulterated look into her life, the hardships TLC omitted, the personal suffering, the unvarnished truth. A documentary like that could expose not only Tammy's story, but also TLC's exploitative practices. Viewers would see the truth behind reality TV, and TLC's meticulously crafted portrayal of Tammy would fall apart in an instant. Tammy may be late to the game, but she is now realizing the same thing. Why let TLC profit when she can build her own brand? With millions of devoted fans ready to follow her, Tammy no longer needs TLC. TLC needs her. Tammy has reportedly realized that she could be earning 10 times more on her own, even though TLC pays her just enough to keep her dependent. Reality stars like the Kardashians and Honey Boo learned early how to turn TV fame into business empires. It's a classic tale of the student outgrowing the teacher, the star outshining the network, and TLC executives are apparently in a panic. The irony here is brutal. TLC made Tammy a star by taking advantage of her suffering. And now that she has changed into a stronger, healthier, and more independent person, she no longer needs the very machine that made her famous. Tammy is not biting, according to insiders, because she is tired of promises that never materialize. She is tired of signing away her image, and she is tired of being a product when she can finally be the producer of her own life. TLC has reportedly already attempted to lock Tammy into new contracts that offer her more creative control and higher pay. The only options left to TLC are to sue her for breach of contract if she really tries to leave, try to prevent her from signing with rival companies, or even try to spin the story by portraying her as ungrateful or difficult in order to damage her reputation. The problem is that Tammy has something she has never had before. The fans are on her side. For years, viewers criticized her for her decisions. But now they see her as a fighter. A woman who overcame her weight and a woman who overcame both her weight and the network that attempted to keep her down. If TLC goes to war with Tammy, they run the risk of alienating the very audience that made 1,000-Pound Sisters a hit. And that leads us to the most important question of all. Will Tammy's new career move truly cause 1,000-Pound Sisters to end? The shocking answer is that it will. Without Tammy, the show loses its focal point. Amy's journey as a mother is interesting. Amanda's candor is amusing. And Chris's weight loss is motivational. But none of them make headlines like Tammy does. She is the show's emotional hook, the cliffhanger, the controversy, and the show's heart. Without Tammy, 1,000-Pound Sisters would just be another family reality show. With her, it's a phenomenon. The show would be a ghost of its former self if Tammy left, and TLC might have to cancel it within a season as fans would leave, ratings would plummet, and Tammy's independent career would take viewers with it. Ultimately, Tammy could ruin the very show that made her famous. Not intentionally, but just because she outgrew it. Perhaps the most startling aspect of all is that although Tammy isn't attempting to bring an end to One Pound Sisters, she may end up ruining one of TLC's most successful franchises in the process. In 2025, everyone will be watching, wondering if Tammy will continue to be bound to TLC and allow them to mold her story for profit and viewership, or if she will finally break free and enter a career that is solely hers with no producers, no contracts, no edits, just Tammy telling her own story. Whatever Tammy Slaton decides, it will be explosive. Her shocking new career move is about freedom, not fame or money. And if it means ending 1,000 Pound Sisters, then so be it. This is because Tammy Slaton has finally come to the realization that her story is hers. And no network can take that away from her any longer. It's possible that 2025 will be regarded as the year Tammy Slaton not only transformed her life, but also reality television.